Hey guys, this is going to be kind of a short haul because I haven't really gotten very many new books the last couple of weeks. Just been a lot going on the home front. But nonetheless, I got a couple of books I want to show, and I also want to do a Cheap Ben's Classic episode. This is something I'd done in a video past and didn't do last couple videos. Of course, I think, well, one reason was because one of them was a Heroes Con video, but nonetheless, I'll quit the gabbing and we'll get into it. I've been looking at this book for a while and just never would pull the trigger on it. This is Fables Encyclopedia. Really cool, well illustrated book. I looked at it in the store. Tells you everything you need to know about each of the fables and the way they were characterized by Bill Willingham in the Fables series. Just a really cool point of reference book, just in case you are new to the Fables universe and kind of want to figure out where everybody kind of stands. This is the book for you. However, I will warn you, this book does contain spoilers about which side of the fence some of these characters end up falling on, so it may ruin some of the story arcs for you if you do read this. But nonetheless, really cool book, and got it for $10. It was a $40 book. All right. These next couple I picked up for cover price, which there's only 4 of them, 4 new ones I picked up, 4 or 5. This is Fantastic Four number 267. As you can tell, Reed Richards fights Dr. Octopus in this issue. Just a really cool issue with a villain that Fantastic Four don't usually fight. But since it's just Richards and Doc Ock, you've got 2 of the most brilliant minds in the Marvel universe who are going up against each other. Just a really cool concept, and I was able to get it for cover price, so thought it was worth picking up. Also got Fantastic Four number 269, who is Terminus. They actually had a couple of issues in a row with this story in it, so I just thought the cover looked really cool, and I recently picked up a Thor annual with Terminus in it, and I thought he was a really cool character, so I picked this one up. Also got number 270, which I think this is actually a duplicate. I was looking at one of my other haul videos from a year or 2 ago, and I'm pretty sure I saw this one in it. But anyway, nonetheless, it's cool cover and continues that story from 269. Fantastic Four 271, just a cover by. I've looked through the issue, and I'll go ahead and tell you. This cover has very little to nothing to do with what's actually in the issue. But nonetheless, it's a really cool cover, and the story in here is pretty cool too. So thought I'd pick it up. And like I said, I got all of these for cover price. My local comic shop has a section where basically if they've got it in a back in the bin, it's cover price. So you get the older stuff for about 1/5 what you get the new stuff for. 1/5, or actually 1/7, 1/8 what you get the new stuff for. So anyway, Cheap Ben Classics. All of these issues that you've seen, I'm going to include. And I'll just flash them back up real quick. All of these were written and drawn. All these stories were written and drawn by John Byrne. Those were Fantastic Four collectors. Don't need to be told this, but these issues are really cool. He became the writer and artist on this series in issue number 232, which was a Diablo issue, and he continued being the writer and the artist up through number 293. After 293, I saw there was a co-plotter that was brought in. I think it was Roger Stern. But Byrne continued to draw these issues for, continued to draw this series for a couple more issues, and then he quit. I'm sure there's a story behind it, but I don't know what it is. Anyway, his run from 232 to 293 has some really cool stuff in it. In particular, issue 236, which is an anniversary issue. It's a thick issue, and it's got a story in it, without giving too much away if you haven't read it, that Fantastic Four lose their powers, and they're just normal, everyday people. But they don't know they've lost their powers, and they have no memory of ever being superheroes. And that's just enough to give you a hint that something is amiss. And if you can find number 236 in a cheap bin, I would recommend picking it up. Now, I'm not saying any more than maybe what you feel comfortable spending, $2-3, but it's about my limit. But anyway, it's a really cool issue, and I recommend that one. There's a lot of really cool Doctor Doom stories. I'm pretty sure that during this run, Doctor Doom's son is introduced. You've got the trial of Reed Richards. You've got Galactus stories that kind of dovetail into that trial, and all kind of different things. That run from 232 to 293, really cool stuff. I showed this one in a very recent video, but since then I've read it. This is Avengers Annual number 16. What you have is a bet between Thanos and Death. Thanos says his guys can beat the ones that Death picks to be her warriors. And if Thanos wins, then he gets the powers that Death has. Anyway, it's just a really cool twist ending. I'll go ahead and reveal that much. And you get to see some really cool battle scenes in this annual, so I recommend picking it up. I've read this issue many times. Any of these New Teen Titans, George Perez, Marv Wolfman issues from number 1 up to, I would recommend up to about number 35 or 36. Beyond that, I think the stories kind of started to fall off. But if you can find any of these New Teen Titans books in your cheap bins, any of these issues before number, from 36 going back to number 1, I'd recommend it. Great stories, just really cool stuff. And I'm going to show these two. If you like sword and sorcery, these Dagar issues from Gold Key from the early 70s are really cool. If you can find them in cheap bins, I would recommend picking them up. The art is, if you remember the Filipino school of artists that drew for DC back in the early 70s, the art is very reminiscent of those Filipino artists, if you're familiar with that. The stories are really good for what they are. Anyway, if you can find them in your cheap bins, pick them up. These are often overlooked because they're Gold Key, and I know this last one is Whitman, but I'm guessing this last one probably came out of a 3-pack that Whitman used to put out back in the 70s. But nonetheless, if you can find any of these old Gold Key Dagars, if you're a Sword and Sorcery fan, just pick them up on the cheap. You know, if you don't like them, you know, no big deal. You didn't really spend much, but I personally like them. If you like post-apocalyptic, these Mighty Samson books from Gold Key are really cool. They really are. The stories are very reminiscent of Commandy, except this actually came out before Commandy did. I'm pretty sure Mighty Samson came out back in the 60s. But nonetheless, it's post-apocalyptic. It's New York. As you can see, it says New York on there. It's post-apocalyptic stories, and if you like Commandy and you like post-apocalyptic, these stories might be up your alley. So I would recommend, like I said, if you can find them in cheap bins, pick them up. The stories are, there is some continuity between issues, but not enough to where you have to get every single issue to figure out what's going on. It's one of these where there's a central villain and there's some one-off villains. And basically it's just about every issue is a battle for survival of some sort. So, like I said, if you can find them in cheap bins, I recommend picking them up. My family and I are planning on taking a little weekend outing here for too long, and there's a local comic shop where we're going that usually has really cool stuff. So that'll probably be my next video, provided I find some stuff. You never know. I mean, sometimes you go and really don't find anything, but nonetheless. Hope you enjoyed seeing these issues, and hope I showed something that sparked an interest, make you go out and dig around in some cheap bins and see what kind of goodness you can find. Nonetheless, support your local comic shop, and we'll see you next time.